Good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to talk to you something about the latest happenings in India. Now, you all know that two gangsters, die-hard criminals who had made a name for themselves in politics also, and one of them was a member of parliament, were recently gunned down when they were being taken to a hospital for medical treatment at 10 o'clock at night by three youths who were shouting Hindu slogans. Now, this all is looking very, very dangerous, and it shows that there has been a deep conspiracy to destabilize India. But a lot of blame must come onto the Indians itself. We must recollect that in 1947, when the principle of partition was accepted, Gandhi and the Indian leadership had accepted the two nation theory. That means India would be divided along religious lines, and the majority Muslim provinces became Pakistan and the rest became India. At that time, I do not understand how Gandhi and the Indian leadership, having accepted the two nation theory that Hindus and Muslims are separate entities, went around and made India a secular state when it should have been logically declared as a Hindu state at that time. And had it been done, all the problems which we are facing now would not have been there. There are big problems now, and we have a sizable Muslim minority in the country, almost 15 to 16%, about 200 million, more than the Muslims who are there in Pakistan. So you can well imagine that this large community has not been integrated into the country by the creation of vote banks by the Congress party. Of course, Gandhi committed a mistake, but the subsequent leadership should have tried to integrate the Muslims with the India, which they never did. They gave them separate laws, they gave them separate property laws, marriage laws, everything, and they were being pampered without being given what they needed most, that was education and jobs. Probably the whole aim was that, well, we will keep winning elections because the whole aim has been to win elections. And India never progressed under the Congress regime. And now we are the laggard compared to China. An economy of 3.2 trillion compared to the Chinese, which is 18. And don't go by what the Indian press is talking all the way that China is finished, then economically in great problem, they're going to collapse, and nothing's going to happen like that. Countries don't collapse so quickly, and the Chinese have some plans up their sleeve. That's another side of the story. But now, in India, there is a bigger divide coming in, and that is the communal divide. Just imagine a man who is responsible for about 100 criminal cases, so many murders, and when he gets killed, the minority community starts agitating and makes him into a martyr. That's what happens. You know what happened in Patna during the Eid prayers. The crowd got berserk. They began shouting pro-slogans in favor of this gentleman who had been shot dead with his brother, though they were hardened criminals, and they were raising slogans against the UP Chief Minister and the Indian Prime Minister. That means the mass majority of people who were attending that congregation, that prayer meeting, were not concerned that a dangerous criminal had been eliminated. They were seeing the thing through the prism of mazhab, that is religion. For them, he may be a murderer, killer, anything, fine. But he was a minority community member, a Muslim, hence we are right to justify. They are forgetting the statements of so many of the people there who are good Muslims who have said that this was inevitable. The fire has been fueled by the Congress party and its lawyers who have been going around stating absurd statements like democracy is in danger, there's no rule of law should be followed, and I will remain one man, Mr. Sybil. I have a lot of respect for him, but the way he goes around talking sometimes makes me feel whether he really believes what he's talking. He's talking of rights of the criminal. Fair enough, they should have rights, I don't say it. But where was Mr. Sybil when this man was a member of parliament and he was rubbing shoulders with him? He knew he was a wanted criminal. He was involved in cases of murder, extortion, name it. So it is sad. I really don't want to name anybody, but there are so many like this gentleman, and they are all talking arrant nonsense to a layman Indian. We have committed the mistake in 47 of not having declared India as a Hindu Rashtra once you accepted the two-nation theory. Otherwise, Gandhi should have gone on a fast unto death and died. Let us see if he could have saved the unity India as one nation. After all, India was one nation for 1,000 years after the advent of the Muslims. So there was no reason it couldn't continue further. But he accepted the two-nation theory, and the net result was the division of India on communal lines, on religious lines. Even the army was divided on religious lines. Can anybody deny it? And if India is such a secular country, why were the Muslim regiments not raised in India? Anyway, this is a point for a different video, another time, another day. But as it stands now, I think we are heading for a big communal divide. A communal divide, yes. And over the years, ever since I have come from school, I've been observing this divide which is becoming deeper and deeper. How are you going to bridge it? The point is, it's a very large minority, almost about 200 million people here in India who profess this faith. And in addition, there are 55 Muslim countries, while India is the sole Hindu country with Nepal, that's all. And Nepal has given up Hinduism a long time back, once the Marxists came into power. So I am not saying that whatever has happened to these two criminals was the right thing. No, certainly not. Once a person is in police custody, he should have been defended. He should have been looked after. There's no question that somebody should just walk in and shoot him dead. But then there was a conspiracy, and it is a job of the government, the research and analysis wing, the Indian intelligence, to have got a wind of what was being planned, what was happening for the good of the nation. And there seems to be something absolutely rancid, moth-eaten in Indian democracy if people who have committed or attempted to kill murder, are doing extortion, are terrorists, go and become members of parliament, members of state legislature. I think this is a point to be thought, and whether this sort of democracy is required, and whether we have a nationalist party anywhere. Let's look at the Congress. I don't think it's nationalist at all. Look at Mr. Rahul Gandhi, what he did in England. He went there, castigated his own country, brought the prestige of India down. And he's paying the price for it. And the price is oblivion. He's never going to become the Prime Minister of India. I hope he listens. He's never going to become the Prime Minister of India. Now, what happens to the other people here? Even the BJP, I'm afraid, has been pandering to various sentiments of so many people, It doesn't lead anywhere. They are polarizing the vote. That is, in India, the voting is now going to be polarized. And in a polarized vote, I think the BJP could win again. Or at least they'll emerge as a very potent force you can't ignore. So, gentlemen, India is on tenterhooks. And we do not have a leader who can take India forward. Narendra Modi is fine, but I think he's been associated in the mind of the minority community as an anti-minority leader. And I feel even if he wants to do something good for the community, this community is not going to accept it. He's been 9 years in power now, and what has he really done? Let's look at it for the unity of the country. Has he been able to bring a single uniform code, civil code in India? No, and there's nowhere it's coming. Has he been able to solve the Kashmir issue? No, he hasn't been able to. So we are in a very dangerous situation. That means we do not have the leader who can, and the charisma who can lead India forward. And something has to be done in this country which allows a Don to become a member of parliament. I mean, it's something which you read in the books of Mickey Spillane. And as far as the killing of this gentleman is concerned, I'm not a supporter. But I'll remember one writing which has become famous, a phrase by Mickey Spillane, which says, it requires a hood to catch a hood. Who is a hood? Hood is a master gangster. He can only be caught by another master gangster. And we have people like the liars who have just mentioned. There are many of them like him. We're talking about death of democracy, death of the rule of law and all that. Obviously, for them, it's a political agenda, a political game. And if some persons are killed, raped by the same people, by same or similar people, then there's no rule of law. That has got no meaning. So you you can go around with a big smile and keep saying India is in danger and all that, and you can go. And one of the leaders of the Congress party, I think he was Mani Shankar, he went to Karachi and appealed to the Pakistani to throw the BJP out. Because the Congress party has got so much used to power, that they do not know how to sit in the opposition. Opposition are very responsible. It's a very important part of a democracy, but they don't know that. And another thing is the linguistic division of India. There's so many ills. I don't know what is going to be done. I think India is in a state of bewilderment. And mark my words, anything can happen in this country, catastrophe, because there is no militancy in the Hindus. A few men shouting Jai Shri Ram, etc. doesn't mean militancy. It is just an idle slogan. And it is very, very wrong not to integrate the minority community, the Muslims, into the national state, into the national stream. This has to be done. Who's going to do it, I do not know. Gentlemen, these are just random thoughts. India is facing a grave challenge at the moment, and that challenge has shown up in the killing of these two men in police custody. I do not know where we are heading, but I hope there's a silver lining somewhere. Let's see what happens. I close now, gentlemen. Jai Hind. Glory to India. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Goodbye.